Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back with yet another Viking Orations. Got another review for you today, and this time I'm going to be talking to you about the debut full-length album from the band Indomitable, entitled Of Carnage and Infamy, out now through the band themselves. And if you're not familiar with Indomitable, they are a metal band, which I will explain why I just use that generic descriptor in just a few minutes. But yeah, they are based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, been around since 2017, featuring Dakota on drums and backing vocals, Jazz on the bass, Thomas on guitars and backing vocals, and finally Ike handling lead vocals. He actually now currently lives in Pennsylvania, though he is still considered part of the band. As I said, this is their debut full-length album. It is 11 tracks and just a couple of ticks under 43 minutes in length. And I have been a fan of these guys since their 2020 self-titled EP, which I actually happen to have sitting right here. But yeah, so I was definitely looking forward to hearing this debut full-length album. And one thing about this band is that it is very hard to pigeonhole them into one category or genre of metal. That's why I just use the generic descriptor of metal, because there's elements of death metal, thrash and groove metal. You got some hardcore in there, metalcore, and it's just all blended into this band's music. So or as Thomas likes to put it, the band is polyamorous. So yeah, as you can see, it's very hard to pigeonhole them and get them down to one style, but it makes for a very interesting listen, I have to say. Jazz's bass is just nice and thick, and at times the tone kind of reminds me a little bit of Spiral Architect, I think. And while it's not too high up in the mix, it definitely cuts through and makes its presence felt throughout this entire album. Though when you get into track number 4, Karmic Solution, at about 52 seconds into that song, it does get a brief moment all to itself, so you really get to hear that tone quite well and get to hear how well it sounds. I thought the drum production on here was pretty solid, with a nice Dying Fetus-esque snap to the snare, really nice patterns, rolls, and fills. I love the double bass work on here, and when he utilizes them, he does some really nice blast beats as well. The guitars have a nice crunch to them, hitting you with the mid to fast-paced riffing. And here, again, this is where you get a little bit of the different styles here, because you'll get, some thrashy sections, and you'll get some chuggier sections. You get these, fast headbangable grooves that interplay with more mid-tempo, hardcore tinged, chuggy grooves at times. So it might sound like it's a little bit all over the place, but it actually flows really nicely, I think, and it just makes for a very interesting listen overall. Ike, though, utilizes quite a variety of vocal styles on this album as well, from these low growls to retches to more hardcore and metalcore-ish sounding shouts, and the occasional brie does pop up, but sparingly, because I know a lot of people don't care for those, but thankfully he only uses those sparingly. And then he also throws in some really maniacal sounding screams at times. They do at times layer the vocals, but there's a few spots where I found like it was getting to be just a little much, because when you got a multitude of styles kind of going at the same time, it can get a little overwhelming just a little bit. But again, that's one of those things that is few and far between. It doesn't happen very often. If they do layer them, it's usually just one or two styles, but every now and then you might get a section that has a multitude of styles, and it kind of gets a little overbearing. But again, not very often. Some of the other things I picked up while listening to this. If you listen to this album, track number 5, Quantum Suicide, is really going to throw you for a loop, because I know it did me every single time that I listened to this album, because it is a total shock to the system. As this, short little kind of interlude of a track, with its, electronic drum beats and kind of dance techno feel, feels like it should be on the Mortal Kombat, the album, CD, the one that was based off the original Mortal Kombat video game, which I actually have that, and it's actually a pretty good CD. But it sounds like it should be on that, not on a metal album. So, it's not a very long interlude, and then bam, you get back into the metal with track number 6. But yeah, anytime you listen to this album, you are definitely going to get thrown for a loop for that. Track number 8, Fogbow. I really dug this song, especially as it's just this, really somber sounding acoustic instrumental with the faint sound of waves kind of adding to this overall atmosphere. The foghorn at the end I thought was really cool, and I just love how it just seamlessly, transitions to the next track with the horn. It's like the horn blows and then it just transitions just flawlessly right into the following track. Then we get into track number 10 of Carnage and Infamy, the title track here. I love the intro with this kind of cool little drum beat, and then the bass joining in about 18 seconds later with this slow, heavy riff, and then the guitars eventually start coming in with the feedback, and then a slow riff of its own. Just that nice build up to that song is just really well done. I loved it. Though I gotta say, the closing track, track number 11, The Burn in the Furnace Heart, this song really spoke to the Star Wars geek side of me, with the opening clip from the Kenobi show, where he says, Anakin is gone, I am what remains. And then you get, this funky little bass line and an acoustic riff combo over the top of a really cool sounding drum beat. Just the way that song started, as soon as I heard that, I was just like, love it. Then about 3:28 into that song, these symphonic elements, again, these guys like to keep you on your toes. These symphonic elements, pop up, giving things this almost My Dying Bride-ish feel, I think. And, I love how it goes to, at one point, just the piano and this kind of snare tab, where they kind of hold the, type thing. And then that happens right around the 4:10 mark, and then it also has this nice little slow bass rhythm underneath of it at the same time. And then even after the guitars actually kick back in, you would think the piano would disappear, but no, it actually stays in the song, and it kind of gives that extra little something to the song all the way to the end. And then at the end of this song, all you get is just the piano, and Darth Vader is breathing over the top to end the song, and that was just absolutely brilliant. Like I said, that song really spoke to the Star Wars geek in me. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a really fun album to listen to. Lots of stylistic variety that really keeps you on your toes, as I said. They love to throw you curveballs, definitely at times while you're listening to this, and yet they make it all work as a cohesive whole in the end. It might sound like a jumbled mess the way I might have described it, but when you actually listen to it, everything just is so well written, so well done, and it sounds like it shouldn't work, but it really does. It is, as a cohesive whole, it really works. It makes this band kind of have their own unique style and sound. And this unique style, like I said, will take you by surprise upon your first listen, but once you get into it, you will have a blast listening to this album. I would give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Go check out Indomitable. The band does not have a Bandcamp page as yet. They are working on getting that set up, but I will link you down below to their link tree so you can check out the single that they put out, which I believe was the opening track. Scum was the single that they put out for this. So yeah, I will leave a link down below to that link tree, and you can check it out, and you can find a way to contact the band if you like what you hear. Pick up a copy of this, pick up a shirt, support these guys. But yeah, 8.5 out of 10 for me. Go check out Indomitable. And yeah, that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.